I'm your chef Aaron Goldstein, and today we're doing butternut squash soup. I've been so looking forward to showing you this soup. It's so simple, it's so basic, and really what I'm going to show you is a very simple pared down example, but it's a blank canvas. You can take it anywhere you want, but we're really going to talk about foundational skills here, okay? So let's get right to it. What I've done is sautéed an onion. Actually, I've just kind of gently sweated an onion in this pan, okay? And whatever you want. I like to use grass-fed butter, coconut oil. Sometimes I just like to cook this with a little bit of water. If I don't want to cook the fat too much, we can talk about that some other time. So we just want to cook it for about 5-10 minutes until it kind of gets sweet, okay? So to this, we're going to add this butternut squash. So if you've seen the lesson already on cleaning, or maybe you're already comfortable with that, this is one fairly big butternut squash. Okay, it's a lot. So I'm going to add this to the pan. Now, here's an important thing I want to talk about. So we're going to add water just to cover, okay? Now, it's a lot easier to add than take away, all right? If you just dump way too much water in here, it's kind of more likely that your soup might be a little bland or anemic, right? Just not enough squash flavor. It's way easier to kind of just thin it out at the end, okay? So that's just to cover, all right? I've seasoned the onions already, but I'm going to get some salt, sea salt I like to use, or Himalayan pink salt, right in there. And I'm going to go ahead and cover that, all right? Now, very important. I like to cook this high, like hot and fast, okay? When you first cut open a butternut squash, it smells amazing, right? It just smells like fall. It's super aromatic, all right? Now, the longer you cook this, the more likely those aromatics are going to get cooked out. And what I like to liken this to is coffee. You know, the longer your coffee is sitting in a carafe, or in your mug for that matter, the less aromatic it is and the less we enjoy it, right? So much of what we enjoy about coffee is how good it smells, and that's the same with food, right? So as this cooks, it's just kind of less exciting, right? Less vibrant. So, fast and high heat, all right? So, got this going, I got a lid on there. Why the lid? Because I don't want too much water to evaporate, right? We put in a specific amount of water just to cover. If this is uncovered, that water is going to evaporate. You're going to need to keep on adding liquid, okay? So, magic of television or video. I've already done this, okay? So I've got my squash tender. How do you know it's ready? I love to just use a little cake tester. And this is the same as, you know, if you're just like cooking mashed potatoes or cooking potatoes and boiling them. Just get this guy in here, or the end of a knife, and you want little resistance. It wants to be nice and soft, okay? You don't want this just falling apart in mush, then you've kind of taken it too far, all right? So now we're going to talk about blending. So all this is onion, butternut squash, water, and your favorite fat. And by the way, if you don't want to use water, you could bump this up by using some veg stock or chicken stock, or whatever you like, okay? It could be coconut milk for that matter. That'd be delicious. All right, so let's puree. So you can do this in batches. I'm thinking this guy will fit in one. Now, one thing, whenever you're pureeing hot stuff in a Vitamix, you don't want to overfill, all right? Because this is going to go crazy and create a lot of steam. So you don't want to go more than, I would say, 3/4, okay? Now, when you're doing this, it's a mixture of liquid and solids. You want to kind of have enough. I'm thinking we can get the whole thing in there. There it goes. I'm comfortable with that level, all right? You've got a nice few inches of headspace, all right? If you're new at this, maybe you want to go just halfway, just to practice using it, okay? So, lid on. Now, in terms of using this guy, always make sure that you're on the lowest setting, okay? Or any high-powered blender, because you don't want to just go at it at high speed and risk this exploding. It's super hot, it's dangerous, all right? So make sure you're down to the bottom, make sure it's on, and you're going to click on. And if you want to have another safety measure, a towel is a good idea. There it goes, and then slowly bring it up higher. Okay, so now I want to talk about really important technique that you can apply this to any puree, any soup, okay, that you're working in a blender like this, and that's making it creamy without adding actual cream, okay? So the fat that I like to use for this is olive oil. Could be your coconut oil, could be room temperature butter. And the one thing I failed to mention was the acid that we're going to use, okay? Butternut squash is really grounded. It's a little bit monotone in what's going on. It's very earthy. So any kind of acidity will really help liven it up. You could use apple cider vinegar, you could use lemon juice if you want. I really love rice wine vinegar with butternut squash. It's super elegant. I just really love how they play together, okay? So we're going to add a little bit of that. Not too much. It's very hard to take away once you've added the acid, okay? And while the blender is going, I'm going to add in the olive oil, okay? A lot of it. And that fat is really going to give it that creamy mouthfeel and unctuousness that it would be lacking without, okay? So I won't talk over the blender. I'm going to let this go. Nice little trick, just to remember when you stop, bring it back to 0, okay? Just so you're less likely to forget that later. Alright. So, here's your butternut squash soup, alright? Now I just want to quickly taste it so we can talk about what we're looking for. It's so good. It needs a little bit more salt, a dash more acid. So I'll adjust that afterwards, but for our purposes, this is looking great. So I want to quickly show you what I like to do to get this cold. And if you were doing a bigger batch, you would have batches. So it's nice to get this in a big bain-marie or just a big bowl. Because remember, we want to get this cold as quickly as possible so it doesn't continue to cook and cook out those aromatics, right? So what we would want to do is take something like this and put it into a really big vessel of ice water, right? And when you do that, you can, every once in a while, just stir it. And this is what we do in the restaurants or hotels. Every once in a while, you just walk by and stir whatever's chilling or shocking, okay? So that's that. I do want to quickly mention one of my favorite garnishes and how I like to kind of apply this soup, okay? So this isn't just dinner, even though we think so often about a soup like this being dinner. My wife and I actually, in the fall and winter, we love to start our day with something like this. And it's also so easy to pack and take for the road. So, you could add this to your favorite thermos, and just, if you're a commuter driving, this is such an awesome, nourishing thing to have on the go. We love to give it to our son. He's 17 months old now, and he loves this stuff, okay? And before I forget, one of my favorite garnishes for this is sumac. So my wife actually came up with this, or at least she brought it to me. And sumac is amazing with butternut because, kind of like the rice wine vinegar, it really lifts it and it gives a brightness and a nice acidity and more aromatics. It's super good, okay? So try that out. I'm going to share other ideas underneath this recipe for different garnishes and different places you can take this soup. But I hope this helps. I hope this inspires you. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you soon.